Three, two, one. Hello, everybody. It's Chris Frew here, back again with another episode of What's the Buzz? This time, talking about the future of cell and gene therapy here in the Mid-Atlantic. I'm super excited today to welcome a good friend of mine, Patrick Hanley, who's Chief and Director of Cell Therapy Program and Associate Professor at Children's Hospital.
Hey, Chris.
Patrick, welcome.
Thanks so much. Great to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here today. And this is it's a Monday episode of What's the Buzz. So we're starting the week off, and I think we're getting ready to give some people a lot of exciting information about what's happening and what you all are doing really to kind of really spur this ecosystem here in the Mid-Atlantic. So I'm really, really excited to talk to you today. As a starting point, for those of you tuning in, BioBuzz has been around for 15 years building engaging ecosystems in life sciences. We care really about two things. One is building community, and we do a lot to really work and foster community in all of our markets, including Philadelphia, here in the Capital Region, and in Research Triangle. And the other thing is talent. None of you can get your products to market and really build the innovations and the new technologies you're working on without the right talent. So BioBuzz has been dedicated to growing our workforce for 15 years. We're in the process of launching a new workforce platform for our community, which we're excited about later next year. And so those two things really center a lot of what we will focus on: workforce and talent. Workforce and community. Today we're talking about community. So Patrick, let's start. Maybe give an introduction to yourself and the work you do at Children's as a starting point.
Yeah, sounds good, Chris. And thanks again for hosting me. So Patrick Hanley, I'm Chief and Director of the Cell Therapy Program at Children's National Hospital. We've been here for 11 years now. And, Children's National, I applaud them for having the vision to build this cell and gene therapy program. It all started about 12 years ago when Dr. Ballard, who's our current center director and the director of SETI, our immunotherapy program, came and gave grand rounds at Children's National. And at that time, leadership said, we had this vision for 10 years from now, we would build cell and gene therapy. Well, why don't we do it now? And so they recruited Kath to come and start the program. And Kath asked me to come and run our good manufacturing practices facility where we make the cells for patients, and a host of other people as well to start faculty and staff. So we started in 2013, and fast forward to May 2014, and we had actually infused our first patient with a cell and gene therapy product on a clinical trial. So we focus on treating cancer, blood, and immune disorders, and some genetic disorders, I guess. So we manufacture virus-specific T cells for patients after a bone marrow transplant. We manufacture tumor antigen-specific T cells for patients with cancer, brain tumors, solid tumors, AML. And we also are developing CAR T cells, like many others in the field. We have mesenchymal stromal cells for newborn babies with congenital heart disease, and we partner with neurology and cardiology for that. So we're just developing new cell and gene therapies. And over the course of our time here in DC, we've formed a number of collaborations, and that is the hallmark of Kath Ballard leading our program. Is she's really into collaborations and team science. And so we have a shared program project grant with Johns Hopkins University. We have a shared grant with the NIH and NIAID for norovirus, led by Dr. Mike Heller. And so we've just been doing a lot of work in this region and actually nationwide to get access or provide access for patients to these cell and gene therapies.
That's fantastic. I think team science, it's a great term. A lot of people don't use that or know kind of that concept. But I think that Children's holistically, not just your program, they really embrace a lot of this collaborative approach, and are really an ambassador for like anything that really kind of helps drive that access and move innovation forward. My experience, and so it sounds like your program is kind of built on that hallmark.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Kalali Eskandanian very well. I liaise with her team. I'm an ambassador to CCIR from the Innovation Ventures team. So within Children's, I think we have that same team science model, and also external, outside facing as well. And to be honest, I'm not sure that I would really enjoy what I do if I didn't have that ability to be a team player. Obviously, we're all driven by making patients grow up stronger. That's the Children's motto. But um, we being able to do that with a team is much more rewarding than trying to do it alone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, as the kind of captain of the team here for CHARM, why don't we talk about a little bit about that? Because you've taken a lot of the work you've done and that kind of attitude and that philosophy of team science. And I think, I know last year I was there for the first annual CHARM event. Could you talk a little bit about that? I mean, I think that's a big thing we want to talk about today is what you're doing to really kind of take that philosophy that you have in your organization, but then also use that kind of approach to kind of harness more of the community. So could you tell us a bit about what the CHARM Symposium is, maybe a little of the historical about how we got here?
Yeah, sure. So CHARM is one of the two things that we're going to talk about today, where we're trying to amplify the reach that we have at Children's National. We started at Children's National. We treated patients at Children's National with the therapies we developed. Over the next couple of years, we started to collaborate and we started treating patients at Johns Hopkins or other places. And now we're treating patients across the country. We've been the manufacturing center for 3 clinical trials run through the Children's Oncology Group, which is the largest pediatric cancer network in the world. And that was the first ever cell therapy trial run through the COG, right? And so we're trying to take that enablement, that patient access, and just amplify it. So what we've done with CHARM is form a network, a community, if you will, in the Mid-Atlantic region. We have such a unique area geographically, right? We have access to the FDA, we have access to NSF, NIH, NIST, leading universities, leading hospitals. You have access to ARM, the Alliance for Regenerative Medicine. So many different players are in this area, and so we can do things that no other region can. I mean, I think Boston, San Francisco, Philadelphia, they each have their own niche, and ours is access to these unique entities, whether they be government or hospital systems or what have you, plus access to biopharma, right? We have Kite, AstraZeneca, a lot of players in this region. So what CHARM is trying to do is create that network, bring people together to accelerate development, to increase patient access, and just sit side by side and say, what hurdles are we facing as a community, and what can we do by working together to address them? And
I love that. So, and CHARM stands for what?
So it's the Capital Health and Mid-Atlantic Regenerative Medicine.
Regenerative Medicine, great. And it's coming up on November 14th, right? Your second annual symposium?
Exactly, November 14th. So we have a few slots left if you'd like to register for the symposium. It is free, but we're asking that people that register plan to attend because it is fully funded by sponsors, and we want to make sure that people are taking up those last remaining spots will actually attend. So please reach out to me. There's also links on my LinkedIn page to register your interest. And Chris, the CHARM Symposium is actually just one part of what we built stemming from that symposium that you attended last year. So we had listening sessions, or we broke people into groups and said, what should we be doing in this region to drive innovation and clinical development, to accelerate development and increase patient access? And people said, well, we need an identity. So that's where CHARM came. We need to have regular touch points, and we need to have this symposium every year. And so we've done that. We've created the symposium happening on November 14th. We have the identity, CHARM, and we are also creating touch points. So we have webinars where regularly we have people, I think Kath Ballard and someone from Virginia was one of our first speakers. Sorry, I forgot the name at the moment. We also have regular check-ins. So alongside ASGCT with the state of Maryland, we had a check-in there. We are planning a check-in with Kite, thanks to Naren Kadaba. And we've had interest from a lot of different companies who want to host these check-ins, right? Just, I don't know how many people, 15, 20, 30 people who just get together and talk about what they're doing in the region. So it's those kind of 3 things that we're building to build that community.
Yeah. You mentioned something, you mentioned Boston and some other areas. I think, geography is important, right? And when it comes to regenerative medicine and cell and gene therapy, especially around Mid-Atlantic, I've seen it's woven into a lot of the events. It's woven into a lot of the discussions happening. But I think you hit the nail on something, is that there wasn't an initiative building community around, around just that. And I think that's I think it's important because there are unique elements to it. There's unique challenges. There's importance to kind of bringing that community together because it is still a very evolving, segment of the industry. So I commend you on that. I think when you look at community building, you're right. You need identity, right? You need kind of a shared mission, and the more focused that shared mission is, the better, right? So if it's like, hey, we all believe in biotech and we want to grow biotech in the region, that's good, and there is an element of that. But when you can really narrow that down and saying, hey, we're going to come together as a community to advance this field of science and this field of medicine, I think that really kind of is a good part of how you kind of better energize and better advance. And not only that, but like it really kind of focuses towards a mission. So I'm excited that we are, it sounds like you've checked off some of those first key boxes you had for last year. What can we expect in year 2 at the event? Tell us a little bit about kind of, whether it's sponsors, speakers, keynotes, objectives of the event.
Yep. So happy to report that sponsorship has essentially doubled or very close to doubling. So that's fantastic. I think it just shows you how much people want to invest in this region, whether it be in the people, in the business or economic development, or in patient access, right? So that's fantastic. I think there's more of an involvement in the government, local government. So Frederick County is speaking. Montgomery County has expressed interest. Virginia, the state of Virginia has expressed interest. And so it's great just to see that the players here also want to be a part of it. One of the things we're doing differently this year is we're not having the breakout sessions, but we're having longer breaks to facilitate discussion. And we're also having panel discussions that include all aspects of the continuum, right? So we will have patient advocates or foundations. We have the FDA speaking. We have local counties. We have hospitals and institutions just like before, as well as some companies who are developing products that want to tie together communities as well. So I think that's what you can expect. I think there's always a great reception at the end, which is nice to just kind of unwind, let your hair down, and network with your colleagues.
Yeah, that sounds like a great day. I'm curious, are there any kind of challenges or kind of themes that have come up in your planning session that your community really is concerned about this year that have made their way into the symposium from a topic standpoint or a theme standpoint?
Yeah, I think one of the things that came up is we want more of a patient voice or a patient family voice. And so, we're trying to capture that. We have Gavin from the Evan Foundation, who's an eloquent speaker. So really, really grateful that he's agreed to speak. Last year, we had the Maryland Stem Cell Foundation speak about sickle cell, which was really timely given the approvals in sickle cell in December of 2023. And that Children's National was the first to infuse the Lyfgenia product on September 11th of this year, which was the first gene therapy approved for sickle cell. So I think that was really the biggest theme. And then the other one was we want time to cultivate these relationships. So we have flash talks, which is important to me because I want as many people as possible to talk about what they're doing in the region. And then I ask them the final slide to be, here's what we offer in a partnership and here's what we're seeking, so that people know who to talk to. And then I think the other theme, and you touched on this already, is workforce development. And so people really want to drive this. They see this as a unique area to drive workforce development. I think Montgomery County has been doing a great job. Kite has a number of key partnerships with Frederick Community College and I think Hood College that they're going to speak about. So I'm excited about that. And one of the things that I wanted to touch on during this conversation is what's happened since the last symposium. Yeah. In addition to forming the CHARM, is we've had a lot of touch points. I can only speak from a Children's National perspective, but we've partnered with Montgomery College. We visited their program, seen how they do training programs, and they've actually brought students to Children's National to see what it's like in reality to run a manufacturing program. And I think that's really important. AABB has reached out and talked about how they want to be a part of these workforce and development training programs, and so that's fantastic. Chris, I think I've had the opportunity to work with you in BioBuzz, and from a personal standpoint, and I wouldn't have had that opportunity if you didn't attend that symposium. Yeah. So I think that's fantastic. And I've heard from some of the other participants, some of the businesses, that they've actually had a lot of connections that derive from this symposium. So I think it is worthwhile for people to attend. And the last key component that touches on workforce is that last year it was really focused on leaders in the field. This year we've reserved about 50 spots for trainees, for early stage professionals who are within their 10 years of graduation, because it's important that they have exposure to this community as well, since they're the next generation of leaders in cell and gene therapy.
That's awesome. That's a great component to add in here. I mean, and to give them that opportunity to not only hear from the presenters, but then have that interaction and the ability to kind of build those professional relationships is key as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, so it sounds like you're tracking a lot of the output that is coming out of the efforts that you put out. And again, I think it's all, I want to just reiterate, like that ability to kind of ground things in collaboration and team science. Nothing in science happens without collaboration, yet sometimes the day-to-day work we do is an antithesis to that. So this is going to be a great opportunity just 2 weeks away, less than 2 weeks away, for a lot of collaboration to be happening all in person right here in the Mid-Atlantic. So I'm very excited about that. Based on the outcomes last year, are there any goals that you have or any outcomes you're hoping to see from this year?
I want to make sure that we're getting the voices. I want to expand the reach, right? So I think I've started to tap out my network, right? And so I think it will only be successful if we can take it to the second and third layer. And so that's why I'm really grateful that you're hosting me here, and I hope that we can continue to build that. And I want to make sure that we continue to keep the mission in mind. I think you really emphasized that earlier, and also that patient access angle and the patient experience, making sure that we're not forgetting and losing sight of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and so for everybody, anyone listening, you can reach out to Patrick here on LinkedIn. We'll make sure we include the links to that. But the community grows, and it only grows when there's someone else that you think will benefit from being part of it, and you reach out and you say, hey, come along this year. It's just a couple weeks away. So you said a couple slots left, and so hopefully some of our audience are taking you up on that, and your LinkedIn is going to be you get a couple new messages for people interested.
Love it.
Yeah. So and we'll make sure we share the link so we can share your sponsors and all the other people that are committed to making this happen for you. Because again, it's like the other thing that you didn't bring up that I want to bring up is when it comes to building community, you do need an anchor or a few anchors that really kind of have to kind of get the flywheel moving. Yeah. And so again, I commend you all and what you've done to get the flywheel moving. It's really important to have a couple anchors that kind of ground it. And, the fact that you can stand on 10 years plus of success and what an incredible year with the number of firsts and that you all have had. So I think, again, I commend you on Children's really stepping up to kind of to open up and bring people to you and really show what you're doing to impact patients and move the industry forward. Because that anchor, is critical to any community really kind of take it off the ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you've done a lot since last year. And Children's, is continuing to evolve too. And some of your thinking on how you impact the industry beyond the patients and beyond the products and that you're infusing and the collaborations you're making and beyond CHARM. So you've done a lot of work over the years, and we were talking about beforehand too. You've done a lot of work over the years to help people out, but some of that's has developed some unique insights and some tools and technology. So one of the things I wanted to learn more about is you've just rolled out a new kind of a new package or a new support platform called CellBuilder. Do you want to kind of do a better job than me at unpacking what that is?
No, you're much better than me, but sure, happy to take a stab at it. So as you said, we going back to this is the second way to amplify our reach, right? And that is we can't do it all alone. And so we've had over the years many institutions who have reached out to us, not just for access to products, especially virus-specific T cells, but helping to build their program. And we're happy to do that. We don't get paid for it, but we do that because that's how we get started. And we're so grateful to Helen Hesloff, Cleveland Rooney, Malcolm Brenner, Adrian G. at Baylor College of Medicine, who helped us get started. But at the end of the day, it's not scalable. There's only one of me, and I have all sorts of crazy ideas. So it's very difficult to harness me. And so, we had the thought, like, why don't we package this together, and then we can provide it to the institutions, at a reasonable cost, to jumpstart their journey in cell and gene therapy. That will help increase innovation, because they don't have to focus on getting started. They can focus on innovating with the next generation of what they want to do. So we developed this CellBuilder kit, as we call it, which is basically the home chef, or the blue apron of the cell and gene therapy field. So here's the SOP. Here's all the reagents that we've used in this clinical trial. And we're not promising that it's going to always work, right? Like, we have experience getting that through a phase 1 clinical trial with the FDA, right? But these reagents have been vetted and used before. And if we need to make a change, we'll do that. But at least we have a starting point. And you can choose your meal of the week, right? Whether it be CAR T cells or virus T cells or MSCs. We have all these different modules that we plan to build. We'll help you build the IND template. And then we'll also be advisors or consultants for you, that you get a bundled number of hours to get started. And then if you need us for your second generation, you can come to us and we'll help you with that. And so it's all in one. And I think that's what people have been looking for, instead of spending $30 million to recruit the next rising star of cell and gene therapy. And so that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, that's great. So and instead of and it keeps it all in one kind of supply element as well, or one kind of continuum, instead of having 10 different consultants come in to advise on different areas, or having your team figure out what reagents to use on its own. You're like, hey, I like the chef analogy. It's a tried and true, it tastes great. It can be ready in 15 minutes. Like that kind of mindset really makes sense. And I think it probably helps lower cost and speed time to patient as well.
Exactly. And, if you need a kitchen, we're partnering with Hitachi to help build that kitchen, the clean room for you, right? But you're right. It's the whole idea here is to increase patient access for investigational studies and, eventually commercial studies. And I think, Chris, that's one of the innovative parts of this, is it takes the scariest and highest risk part of this, and it eliminates it, right? So we are an enabler. We're a vendor who is providing you with the materials to go forward, right? And you need to do it in a way that is sanctioned and approved or cleared by the regulators, right? We are not enabling people to go rogue. But if you want to run a phase 1 clinical trial and get permission from FDA to seek cost recovery for the manufacturer of that drug product, you can do that. And that is the thing. If you want to take this all the way to licensure, you can do that as well. But we just want to enable you to get going and start providing access throughout the country, and not just in these large centers of excellence.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's probably how you'll lower the cost of these things and really kind of enable more indications to get addressed. Patrick, what stage, like who are you working with on these? Who's engaging with you, or who's the ideal? Is it someone who's still preclinical, kind of looking to advance, in an enabling stage, or earlier than that?
So I think the ideal institution is one that's thought about this, kind of like Children's National was 13 years ago. So they're thinking about it. They maybe want to build something, but they don't really know where to get started. That's perfect for us, right? Because we can make recommendations. We can provide you with the clean room facility, all that kind of stuff. It's all just, hey, here's your options. We need to understand what your footprint is, but we can help you build it. So that's, and also one other area that we found interest from is the regional blood services. There's a lot of these different facilities throughout the country, and they've been wanting to move into cell therapy, but maybe they don't have the expertise. And so we can help provide that, which I didn't think about that at first, but there's been a lot of interest.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, you said something earlier, like, you got a lot of crazy ideas, and, it's hard to wrangle you in. I feel like you and I are kindred spirits in that way. But we think a lot alike. So, BioBuzz is actually, we're scaling as well, and we've kind of created SOPs and created a package. It's kind of like BioBuzz in a box. But we're talking to emerging ecosystems right now that are kind of, smaller and growing, and looking to get a stronger workforce, looking to get, more buzz and amplification so they can attract talent and they can attract companies and they can attract the investment to their region. And, it's interesting. We've kind of done a similar thing to you. Like, we thought about where we were over the past decade, and we kind of packaged that into a platform. And we're looking the same way. Like, how do we drop BioBuzz in a box into these emerging ecosystems? Because we really believe, kind of like we talked about earlier, community is a bedrock to really, strong innovation ecosystems. And some of the things that we've learned really well over the years is good storytelling is important for connecting the community and attracting people. Programming and events that kind of build community and bring people together, and then the workforce that kind of ties it all together. Those three are critical and pull it all. So again, I like the chef. I might steal that chef idea from you, and then how we're talking about it as well. But so I think we both share some level of crazy and some level of wild ideas, but also some level of systematic thinking on how to make a difference.
No, I love it. Absolutely love it. And I forgot, I was going to say something about going back to the regional symposium, but no worries.
Well, we're excited because that's coming up soon. So, just wrapping everything up here as we're talking, it's November 14th, the CHARM Symposium, where you're going to get to engage with 200 cell and gene therapy and regenerative medicine industry leaders, research and scientific leaders, and patients and patient advocates all in one place, as well as a lot of the industry support organizations, like you mentioned some of them earlier as well. I mean, it sounds to me like if you want to get 3 or 4 months worth of conversations and advancements done in one day, there's probably going to be no better place than November 14th down at Children's National.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, I remember what I was going to say. It was about the box that you were talking about. Yeah. So I never thought about CHARM that way until I went to this meeting on the Mesa, and someone from Fuji Irvine Scientific who's one of the sponsors, said, the reason we like this is because we want every region to do this.
Yeah.
Is there a way that you can scale it? And I was, there's no way that we're moving beyond the Mid-Atlantic right now. We need to build this region, and it's really special to me, and I know it's special to you, although you have a number of conflicting alliances.
Yeah. But you know what's great though is in our philosophy, Patrick, is there's a way to do this where you can build autonomy in a network. So we even renamed our company from BioBuzz Media to BioBuzz Networks. And we believe there's a way to build autonomy and build community geographically and do it multiple times. And I think it's even better when you do that, because then you get to connect the nodes, right? Like, you think about it from a network model, how powerful would it be is if now you could connect to the Philadelphia node seamlessly, or one of our partners, ScienceWorks, is just announced the launch of a Saudi Arabia chapter that's a foundation of $100 million pre-seed fund. And that chapter is going to enable ScienceWorks, which is a nonprofit tech transfer and commercialization organization, to then connect Saudi Arabia and the US. But it's that node element that enables it. So I mean, it's going to take work, or it takes the right symposium, but I think there's value in that. And I don't see my different markets as conflicting. I see them as additive. And
I'm just making a joke, but completely
no, but you're not the first to say that. That's why I said some people are like, oh, well, you like them better than us now. I'm like, no, I like patients and I like innovators, and I want to drive innovation forward everywhere. And I like people gainfully employed and working. And that's what I want to make sure happens.
In rewarding jobs, right? Absolutely.
In rewarding jobs. Yeah.
And Chris, I think you touched on this before, but I'm so grateful to Children's National for having this innovative spirit, as well as Kath Bollard, our new CAO, Dr. Cooperman, and Kalali, all of the Children's National leadership to really support me, because, it does take time. And I think we're showing that it's worthwhile. We are looking to become a regional manufacturer as well. And we're in talks with, other interested parties. The state of Virginia seems to be very interested. We're talking to the state of Maryland as well. Virginia Tech has been a great partner in other aspects, and Mike Freelander has really done such a great job of leading that Fralin Institute. So hopefully we can do something big for the region as well, and it all pays off from a children's perspective, but also from a patient perspective and an ecosystem perspective.
Well, that's exciting. Well, don't announce announce anything here. Wait till the symposium to announce any of the big news.
I will. It'll be a, I'm sure I'll write it up and I can provide it to you. So.
Have you there, Patrick?
Yep.
Right. Yeah, we're having a little delay here now at the end, and been a pleasure. I'm really can hear me. It's been a pleasure. I'm excited to be there on the 14th myself, and we'll make sure we get the word out to as many new people as we can and activate our networks for you to help make sure that everyone knows what CHARM is doing, what Children's is doing, and anything else we can do to let us know.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris, and to BioBuzz. Really appreciated having this conversation with you. Look forward to seeing you.
All right, we'll see you soon. Thanks to everybody for joining in today, and we'll see you again very soon.